have a government here that is going to spend $28 billion in Afghanistan. And at the same time, it is cutting on services. And this is going across not only the federal government, but across the provinces, cuts in education, the rise in poverty, laws are being passed, and policies are being passed, not only in Canada, but in many Western countries, restricting the number of immigrants, restricting the number of refugees, giving more powers to consular offices to decide who should come to Canada. And within Canada itself, we have now two-tier citizenship. There's two types of citizens. There are citizens who are treated fully under the Charter of Rights and Freedom, and there are those who are marginalized, like what happened to Abu Sufyan Abdul Razak, Saad Haji Mahmoud, Maher Arar, and others. People who oppose the wars in Afghanistan, the occupation of Palestine, the occupation of Iraq, and people who stand for rights of women in Canada and for people who have the sexual orientation are not being funded by the government. The government is cutting funds to them. It is bullying them, intimidating them. At the same time, we have cuts to aid to Africa. And this is happening across the board. Since 1945, there have been 14 wars in Africa that has resulted in the death of more than 26 million people. And this is all because of the greeds of corporations who went into Congo, Sierra Leone, Somalia, into Sudan, and into Afghanistan, and started wars because they wanted to take the natural resources of those countries. At the same time, they are not really reflecting those gains to the population in Canada. We have an increase in poverty in Canada. There are many racialized groups that have a poverty level of more than 30%. So these are issues which should be important, which should be brought up, that what's happening is affecting not only the people outside of Canada in the third world, but also affecting Canadians, undermining their rights under the Charter of Rights and Freedoms.
The G8 and G20 are undermining communities' ability to determine the fate of the land they live on, the water they drink, and the air they breathe. And when I talk about environmental justice and climate justice, it's not about justice for the climate or the environment, it's about justice for the people who are suffering from environmental degradation and climate change. Take the Alberta tar sands. The tar sands is one of the largest environmental injustices on this planet, and it is not on the G8 or the G20 agenda. The tar sands are taking over pristine boreal forest, it's taking over unceded Aboriginal territory, putting contaminants in the water, causing people to suffer from higher rates of autoimmune diseases, cardiovascular diseases, cancers, asthmas, and this is all mainly happening in Aboriginal territories. These environmental injustices are not just in Alberta, they're happening all across Canada. In Northern Ontario, Indigenous communities like Grassy Narrows, we have mercury poisoning water and poisoning food supplies like fish. And in low-income communities like in Sarnia and Windsor, we have diesel fleets causing increased asthma rates. This is happening in low-income communities and communities of color. Canada is not solving the problem here at home, and they're not solving it or helping solve it abroad. The United Nations has approached Canada and told Canada that they need to put climate change on the forefront of the G20 agenda, and Canada has refused. And as a G8 country, Canada does not need to exploit people or the planet for its own economic benefit or for the benefit of an already wealthy few. The federal government is trying to solve these issues by promoting market-based solutions, but it's these markets that cause the problems in the first place. The G20 is a self-selected group. They're undermining the United Nations processes, and they're bringing these injustices here at home. This June, the environmental justice and climate justice movements are going to come and join other movements to transcend with these other movements and to join them and to show that our struggles are all the same.
I want to draw upon our teachings. And within the Haudenosaunee or the Six Nations, when we first entered into arrangements with your ancestors, it was known and we referred to as the Gaswanta. And the Gaswanta was the two-row wampum. And that two-row wampum in the earlier days was made through our wampum beads, which was lived on forever, and that was something that we had in place. And it was based on peace, respect, and friendship. And up until this point, since the early 1400s to now, I don't see peace, I don't see friendship, and I don't see respect. As a council fire, which is a cultural center, it's something that we propose and we advance because we deal with 144 or service 144,000 on an annual basis, and they're not just our own people. They also make up yours because so many of your societies and your governments don't provide that particular services. I'm really pleased to hear the concerns that people are advancing because it's about the global and the universal issues. Because we collectively have to ensure that we make these governments who are in place accountable. And accountable in that we don't just come together at one time, for a press conference, but we ensure that we're continuing our support to one another. So when the G20 does come in, I think it's really important for the public to know that we will be joining forces, and we'll be joining forces in terms of the awareness. We'll be walking together in terms of the red, the white, the black, and the yellow. And that when that does come, that you'll see those voices in terms of what we understand as Indigenous people of why our teachings talked about the four colors and how we will work together.
From June 18th to June 20th, we will be holding the People's Summit, which is an alternative to the G20, and all people are welcome. For more information on the various workshops and panels taking place, go to peoplesummit2010.ca. June 21st to 24th are our themed days of resistance, each day having its own theme. So on Monday, June 21st, is All Out in the Defense of Rights for All at 2 p.m., which is a march happening at Allen Gardens. June 22nd, there will be a Gender Justice and Disability Rights event, as well as a Queer Liberation event. June 23rd, Climate and Environmental Justice, various actions will be taking place throughout the city. June 24th, we will tell the world the truth about Canada's record on Indigenous rights at 11 a.m. at Queen's Park. This is a march, and it is in coordination with the National Day of Action for Indigenous Peoples' Rights. Also on June 24th at 8 p.m. there will be an event called Combat the Invasions, taking place at 8 p.m. on 95 Charles Street. June 25th, there will be a community march. People will be marching under the banner of Justice for Our Communities. This will be happening at 2:30 p.m. at Allen Gardens, and will feature a rally, march, block party, and potential tent city organized by community organizations in Toronto from various issues in various sectors to forefront local campaigns and struggles. On the same day, at June 25th, the event Shout Out for Global Justice will be taking place at 7:30 p.m. at Convocation Hall. This is a forum and it's free. Visit canadians.org/G20/event for more information. June 26th will be the People's First We Deserve Better March at 1 p.m. at Queen's Park. This is a rally and march being organized by all labor and civil society groups, including the CLC and Greenpeace. The same day, June 26th, is Get Off the Fence at People's First, and then 4 p.m. happening at Grange Park. This is an anti-capitalist, anti-colonial march straight to the summit, organized by SOAR. June 26th is Saturday Night Fever. Will be a street party taking place till late dawn. The location not yet to be announced. We're billing this as a radical street party. More information at fever2010.wordpress.com. And then the final day of the summit on June 27th, the bill is getting down to business. Later that day will be fireworks for prisons at 5 p.m. Prisoner Solidarity action happening at Bruce Mackey Park on Dundas and Wardell Roads. This is a rally and march organized by Fireworks for Prisoners. Visit fireworksforprisons.wordpress.com for more information.